The world. In a few hours, Donald Trump will meet the bosses of several big American firms to talk about US jobs. Well, with me now is Dr. Stephanie Hare, who's a political risk analyst. Stephanie, first of all, what do you expect to come out of this meeting? Do you think Donald Trump really will be listening to these bosses of the big manufacturing firms? Because they're likely to say, look, it's not as simple as slapping a 20% import tax on, because we have so many components coming from right around the world.
Exactly. I think it's actually quite encouraging that he's having this listening exercise and inviting executives to the White House to have this chat, if only for them to do this sort of education exercise of saying, this is how our supply chain works. You can't have a tax where each component part is being taxed each time it's crossing back over the borders, for instance. So there's a certain pedagogical exercise to this.
However, jobs have been lost, haven't they, by being outsourced to factories?
Yes, some of the job losses that we've seen in manufacturing in the U.S. economy since 1979, there's been a massive drop-off, have been because of outsourcing. That's undoubtedly true. That said, the majority of those job losses are actually from technology. So U.S. productivity in terms of manufacturing is great. It's just that we require fewer workers to be that productive, and that's because of things like automation. So some of the policy ideas that President Trump has advanced so far are actually very 20th century ideas. You know, let's have taxes, let's impose penalties and tariffs, or withdraw from trade agreements and adopt protectionism. But what we would like to see, what we would expect to see, is for him to be talking about how to upskill American workers to become more technologically advanced, to work with robots, with automation, and really be able to add value further down the chain. That's where America will retain its competitive advantage.
And that's very evident in, for example, Tesla's business model. It wants to go fully automated factories to expand. That does seem to be the future. But that's quite a hard sell, though, isn't it, to the American people who don't want to see their jobs lost?
Well, I don't know if it's so much a hard sell as it's a more complicated message. An easy message to deliver is make everything in the United States. A more complicated message is we need to train our workers differently in order to be able to work more efficiently, more productively, and to encourage and foster the innovation that will see the United States continue to lead in manufacturing. So it's not that it can't be done. I just think this is a conversation that's evolving, and today's conversation with the executives and President Trump may well be the first step in that discussion.
There will be implications as well, perhaps, for the corporate tax rate, because the markets have factored in that this will be slashed, because that's what Donald Trump has said. However, if the 20% import taxes aren't delivered, there's going to be a gaping hole in the finances, isn't there?
That's right. So far, we've even seen a split within the Republican Party over what the right stance is to take on this, with Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, for instance, advancing a very different agenda, I think, than U.S. President Trump. So the tax policy instrument, again, is quite blunt, and it's also really short-term. Again, it doesn't really address the changing nature of manufacturing and where the U.S. economy and U.S. workers fit in that. So I think we can expect to see some back and forth on that issue, but the more strategic play is this question of technology.
However, some industry bosses already seem to be dancing to Mr. Trump's tune. For example, in the airline industry, they've changed plans and policies and buying decisions because of what he said. Do you think that will continue?
Undoubtedly, there will be winners and losers in this approach that President Trump is taking. So for certain businesses, certain sectors, and even certain individual companies, it will be easier for them to change and take advantage of it. For others, it won't matter what he is saying or doing. There are global trends. The United States cannot fight those global trends. And that's what I mean by the more strategic play of technology. Those are sort of nation agnostic. They're nation neutral. Those are the things that, yes, defer to President Trump for the next four years, but if you're looking to make a strategic play, you need to be thinking for the next 20 to 30 years.
Okay, Dr. Stephanie Hare, independent political risk analyst, thank you very much.